Seriously? Hey you guys, welcome to another wishlist video with me, 6plus Stevo. In this one, I'm going to be talking about Chapter Approved 2018 and my wishlist for it. Before I get into that though, let's have a look back at the previous edition of Chapter Approved. Now Chapter Approved brought with it a lot of points fixes. We had a lot of adjustments of points. Certain units that were overpriced, underpriced were rebalanced and addressed, and that was really cool. It also brought with it some new stratagems, warlord traits, etc. for armies that didn't currently have a codex. Those index armies were rapidly being left behind on the competitive scene by codex armies. So that was a nice little touch. It was a little something to throw to us index players, still waiting for our codex, just to give us a little something, a little bit more variety, a little bit of buffs and things to our army, just to tide us over until our codex came out. So top marks on that, GW. But it brought with it a lot more than that. It brought with it new missions, most of which I feel are better than the vanilla missions that you get in the 8th edition rulebook. Some really cool missions in there that just gave you more ways to play. Also an important point, they fixed the, in my opinion, the unfair advantage to elite armies, in that they would essentially always go first. Whoever finished setting up their army would just automatically get the first turn, unless you could steal the initiative on a 6+. So essentially, if you were running horde armies and large armies, or you were playing against elite armies, you very, very rarely got first turn. And first turn it's a big advantage in the game. It doesn't decide who wins or who loses, but it certainly swings it in their favour if they get first turn. Chapter Approved addressed that and changed it to always going first to having a +1 on the roll off. So you've still got more chance at going first, but it's not a done deal now. And that was nice. That was a nice fix to the game, I think. And it shows, the Chapter Approved on the whole showed that GW were listening to the community. There'd been a lot of play testing going on, and they fixed a lot of issues. And it's just, yeah, I think it's a really good thing. And the fact that we're going to see a Chapter Approved every year now, that's going to continue to fix and balance things and tweak things as it goes along, is really nice. And hopefully, I don't know if I'm alone in this, but I'm hoping that this means we won't see a 9th edition too soon. It'd be nice for 8th edition to be around for a long time. And I think with Chapter Approved coming out annually, fixing, tweaking, adding to the game, I think it reduces the need for a new edition. Having said that though, the release of a new edition is a big money spinner for GW, so I'm not going to hold my breath on that. But what else did Chapter Approved bring with it? It brought with it a lot of interactive scenery and things. We've got things like the Imperial Bastion, Imperial Defence Lines, fortifications basically. It brought a lot of them with it, which was a nice touch. It also brought with it new rules for running campaigns, things like Apocalypse and Planet Strike. Brought in new missions, new stratagems for that. All good stuff. And it also brought with it the design your own Land Raider rules. Only for open play though, a point I'll address in a minute. But yes, nice, because that went right back to sort of Rogue Trader era, and I think one of the other editions, I can't remember which, but I think it might have been in a really old Chapter Approved actually, a similar sort of thing where you could design your own vehicles and stuff. So adds to the whole customization, personalization of your army and vehicles and stuff. So a converter's dream there. But what do I want to see in the next edition of Chapter Approved? Well, obviously we're going to get points adjustments. I'm not going to list off to you every unit I would like to see reduced in points, because I'd be biased. Obviously, I want everything in the Orc army to come down in points, and I want everything in the Space Marine army to go up in points. But obviously, we're all going to be a bit biased, aren't we? We're all going to see units in our own army. We're going to think they're overpriced, and our opponent's army and top units, we're going to want to see them increase in points. So I'm not going to waste everyone's time discussing that. We know we're going to see that. Things are going to be play tested, things are going to be addressed and rebalanced, and I think we're all confident we're going to see that. Also, I'm sure we're going to see another load of new missions, so that'll be cool. Bring on more missions. It just keeps the variety, keeps the game fresh. Your whole tactics and the way you play the game can drastically change dependent what mission you play. So more of those is always better. But what new things do I want to see with it? What interesting things do I want to see them bring? Well, in the previous edition, they went big. They went all about apocalypse, planet strike, and things like that. And that was really cool. We all like big games, throwing all your collection down and having big games. But there's something I used to love playing. Back in 5th edition was Combat Patrol. And for those of you that have been around a while, will remember Combat Patrol. Combat Patrol was a brilliant game. It's basically a stripped down version of the game. Well, not a stripped down version of the rules, but smaller armies. You represented like a scouting force, a small scout force, attacking another scout force. And there were restrictions on it. So it was 400 points max, so very small armies. I think the only compulsory choice you had to make was one troops choice. And then you had other restrictions. You couldn't have any characters with more than 2 wounds, I believe it was. You couldn't have anything with the 2+ save. And any vehicles you had, they had to be, their combined armor value, front, side and rear, had to, I think, equal something like less than 33. So you could only take things like killer cans, sentinels, rhinos, things like that, just light scout vehicles. And the game could be played, I think when they first launched it, they called it 40k in 40 minutes. It was really sort of quite fast-paced games, but no less fun to play. In fact, in a lot of scenarios, more fun to play than the larger games. Ideal for things like when you're playing at a club. The club I used to go to, for example, we did a Combat Patrol tournament, a league where we all played each other once, and you'd get 3 points for a win, 1 for a draw, nothing for a loss, and your points difference was calculated into like a goal difference sort of thing. And it was really fun. You could go to the club. The club was open for sort of, I can't remember now, it's going back a while, but sort of about 2.5, 3 hours. You could get a couple of games in. Also, a group of friends I used to play with, we'd quite often do little mini leagues around mine, and we'd set up a Combat Patrol army each, and then we'd all play each other once and see who was the best in those scenarios. It's great, especially for those of us who've got families, jobs, restricted on time. It's ideal, and it's just great fun. Obviously the rules would have to be adapted because all the stats and things have changed drastically from back then, so they'd have to tweak the rules slightly and change the limitations and stuff, but to effectively get the same result. I know we've got some, I think I've seen on online there's some homebrew and fan-made sort of rules for Combat Patrol, but it'd be nice to see GW release their own rules for Combat Patrol, and it would be really cool to see that in chapter approved, because I just think they're perfect for clubs and things and running tournaments, and especially it's a great way for people just getting started as well to build up a small army. I think most of the just getting started sets would probably equate to a Combat Patrol force. Also, we're sticking to the theme of going small. Kill Team. Kill Team's a game I've never actually played myself, but I know of it. I've read about it, and it looks quite cool. In Kill Team, you use like a squad of, for example, Marines, but rather than moving the unit round as a whole, each model acts as an individual, and I think the rules go a little bit more in depth. It's a bit sort of, I think, Necromunda sort of style. There's a little bit more detail to it. It's ideal for more sort of campaign-driven games and things like that. I'd like to see rules for that as well. The things like that are great for us with sort of limited time in being able to play, in limited time being able to build, paint, and especially for those of us out there that are on a budget as well. Unfortunately, things like bills and food and stuff always does come first before plastic crack. But things like Kill Team and stuff and Combat Patrol, a fantastic way for people just getting started to get used to the rules and get playing. And you don't need massive collections. And quite often those really large games tend to not be quite so tactically driven. You're just kind of throwing everything at each other, and they're fun, don't get me wrong, they are really fun, but I think on a tactical level, some of the smaller games, I think you can get a lot more out of them. Also, some of your lighter vehicles and your weaker units and stuff, it's their time to shine then, because they're not coming up against super heavies, they're not coming up against Terminators and things. It gives you a chance for sort of your lower end troops and your not weaker but sort of more specialised, lighter armed units to shine. So yeah, bring back Kill Team, bring back Combat Patrol. I would love to see that. Now, I talked about earlier the fortifications that they had in the previous edition of Combat Patrol, and they look really cool. I read all about them, they look cool, and I thought, great, I'm going to get converting, build up some sort of orky versions of Imperial defence lines and things to have in my games. But when I looked for the points for them, nowhere to be found. So I only play match play. I've always played that, I'm old school. I'm not ultra competitive. I do like the sort of narrative side of things, but I do like a balance, and I do like that balance between. So for me, match play is the way to play, and I think for the vast majority of us, that's the same. I know some people do like playing the PowerPoint system, and that's quite good. I've played that with my son before. He's just getting started learning the rules, so PowerPoints are great for people just getting started. It makes quick list building and stuff good. And yeah, you've got the fortifications there. They've got PowerPoints, so you can do that. But would it have killed them to put some points in there so us people playing match play could have used them? Also, things like the Land Raider rules only being able to be used in open play. Does anyone play open play? Personally, it's not for me at all. Again, great for people just getting started. Great for people who just want to mess about and learn the rules and stuff. Fantastic. But I can't see many hardcore 40k players playing open play in anything other than like Apocalypse and stuff. And I see that the market for chapter approved is going to be predominantly us hardcore die-hard players, whether that be narrative players, ultra competitive players, or whatever. But I think the vast majority of us who are going to spend our money on chapter approved want rules mostly for match play, maybe a bit of narrative play. I don't think many of us are looking for stuff in the open play thing. And I can't see those new players, those people just getting started, really going out and spending their money on something like chapter approved. So I don't think that adds a lot to the game. And I don't think it would have been that hard to add points values and things to it. So hopefully in the next one they will take that concept a bit further and bring the customizing of vehicles and things into match play games, or at the very least into narrative play games, and sort of have some sort of where you can create your own PowerPoints system. Every type of war gear and stuff you add to it adds to its PowerPoints. I can't see it being that hard to do. And I think you can still have creativity but still maintain the balance. It's Yeah, I guess it depends on the players. I mean, people see like create your own vehicle, and you've got one type of player who will see that and think, oh, great, I can get really creative with that. I can create something that really fits the fluff and the theme of my army. Then you're going to get the other sort of player that goes, oh, great, I can fit 20 las cannons on my Land Raider and obliterate everything I come across. So you are going to get people like that. So you do have to get quite a strict set of rules in there that, combats the power players to an extent. But yeah, I just think the new chapter approved wants to be really focused on matched play predominantly, and less so on open play. That's just my opinion, but I do think a lot of you out there will agree with that opinion. But yeah, anyway, guys, that's my thoughts on Chapter Approved 2018. I'd like to see points for fortifications. I'd like to see the return of Combat Patrol. Please, 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 GW. I love Combat Patrol. I'd also love to see new updated rules for Kill Team, because I've never played it yet, but I would be interested in giving it a go because it sounds fun. And yeah, more missions and more points fixes, more balancing, more of that good stuff. But anyway, guys, that's been me, 6+ Stevo, with my thoughts. Please share yours down below. Please like, share, subscribe. It means the world to me. Everyone who likes the videos, everyone who subscribes, I really appreciate it. Give me any feedback. I'm still learning, I'm still growing. Hopefully these videos are improving in quality in time. I've just got a new microphone, so my sound quality should be better from here on in. But anyway, guys, yep, 6+ Stevo, signing out.